Hi everyone, I'm Charlene Shirk and welcome to Digital Champions, where we speak to some of the most innovative thinkers in the digital space. And we're so excited to have Bonnie Hayflick join us today, Bonnie Hayflick PR Counsel. Bonnie, thank you so much for joining us today in the studio.
Good to see you again. We've known each other a very long time.
I know. That's why I'm so excited to have you
I'm
here.
a big fan of yours. Big fan.
As well. Right back at you. So tell folks what you've been doing for so long in this industry.
Oh my goodness. Since 1978, when I was at USF as a junior, I was hired by the Media Relations Department to do PR and make phone calls and record that on a reel-to-reel tape recorder with splicing tape. And I fell in love with promoting people and interesting topics. Then I went into TV on campus after graduation at USF and fell in love again with PR and went into that after a news career in TV and radio.
And talk to us about how you have seen this industry change over the decades.
Well, from a reel-to-reel spliced tape gig to the IBM Monster typewriters with Correcto tape and whiteout. Does anybody know what that is? To this digital age, I have been through the beginnings of the whole computer world in the PR and advertising space. And I love this now because it tests my abilities and history in the industry. And it forces me to learn and grow even at this stage of the game, being in business for so long.
I think that you offer a perspective that many of our guests don't present, because most of our guests have kind of started in the digital space. I mean, when they got into the industry, it was already on the digital space. How have you been able to transfer communications or counsel your clients into, okay, this is how we used to do it, but this is how we need to do it today? You know, posts have to be short or videos have to be short because people don't have an attention span anymore. And yet we're challenged to try to tell a story while we're communicating our clients' brands or their services.
Well, that's the beauty of what you do, because you, to me, are a broadcaster. I know you so much in that realm. There's still a place for traditional PR. I still have to write properly for my news contacts in the US and Canada. Then what happens with my traditional Word documents sent out to big media lists based on my research and cherry picking reporters, editors, then my clients need to understand they need to be pretty savvy when they are on the air or speaking to the news media. So I script them and give them media tips, but I also tell them you must be in the digital space now, because if you depend on PR alone, the traditional way I do it, great, you're going to get exposure, but you have to know how to push out the links to the stories, how to market, understand the analytics. Somewhere you've got to have an expert team to do that, and I push that heavily.
Let me ask you this. Obviously, you've kind of walked us through kind of the pain point that you do solve for your clients. You've got to get their message out. It's got to resonate. It's got to click with the audience. What challenges do you face, though, in trying to get that done for your clients?
I have to keep my clients honest, on point, and help them understand news. It's not it's not promo, it's not advertising, there's no BS, there's no room for wiggle room. You can't be a grandiose promoter when you're talking to a journalist because they don't like it. So I script them and I make sure they understand that world and they come across as legitimate.
And what is the biggest challenge you face in getting that message across to your clients and helping them get that message across to their audience?
I will pick and choose my clients now. But you don't know until you know sometimes, because if I work with the most successful whomever and they refuse to abide by that, then I have to either help them understand when you're working with the news media, going into the digital media world, you have to be a legitimate presenter and have a message that's not so braggadocious, so that your audience will believe you based on your expertise. So it's a lot of scripting, it's a lot of media tips. Some people won't do it, and I can't represent them because then it gets weird for me to present myself to my news contacts with that type of personality.
No, we've been there. Those in the PR world have certainly been there. So you mentioned sometimes you've got to let clients go. They're just not the right fit. So, and you've been in this industry so long. When do you know it's time to scale your business?
I'm glad you asked that question. Perfect example is this week. I met a new client in St. Augustine. He represents many different digital marketing clients. And he's like, oh my gosh, I found a PR person. My clients can benefit from what you do traditionally, and I can push it out there. Okay, so I have a new income stream.
Right.
2 weeks ago, I was like, I have my regular clients, but wow, I actually can take a breath. That's very different for me. So in my crazy business as a freelancer, it can come and go at very different levels. You have to have the stomach to be a PR freelance person. For many years, I worked in the PR world for ad agencies, and the same applied. You always have to go after that new business. Some leave, some stay, some grow. It's very fluid.
I think that's great advice. You've got to always be able to have that stomach to be able to do that. Sometimes you're overwhelmed with so much work, and you're just working, and then, like you said, sometimes it's project-based.
Yes.
And sometimes it comes to an end date, and then you're like, okay, I got to build that income back up. But sometimes that break is also really nice to be able to catch your breath and work on the business.
Absolutely.
So I want to ask you, what is the best tip that you would give to entrepreneurs in this industry, whether it's digital or PR, or they're doing some old school traditional?
Network like crazy, know your craft, get experience. The only way to get experience is to get experience. It's not going to be perfect every time. What we do is not an exact science because you're dealing with people. So Chamber of Commerce, BNI groups are very successful. Getting out and about, even in restaurants, and when you're on the street, just talking to people like the beautiful young lady you have here. Talking to her, I'm interviewing her, finding out about her. She may say, wow, here's a publicist. I may need her, or my friend may need her. You have to be a people person. If you're an introvert and you're not cool about that, there's still a place for you in our industry. There's excellent writers, designers, graphics people. But if you're into new business development and you need to pound the pavement for business, you gotta love to talk to people.
Well, Bonnie, it has been such a pleasure to talk with you. I don't think folks appreciate the knowledge that you are bringing to the table today. We really value making the time to be here today on Digital Champions.
My pleasure. Thank you, Charlene.
Oh, it's our pleasure. And if you'd like to learn more about Bonnie Hayflick PR Counsel, I think you do, because you're going to find every answer you could possibly look for on her site. Start, though, by going to dailyadbrief.com. Well, I'm Charlene Shirk. That's going to do it for this episode of Digital Champions, and we look forward to learning something new with you next time.
Simplify presents Addressable CTV, combining the power of TV with the targeting and attribution of digital. Simplify's Addressable CTV delivers massive reach with the ability to scale without sacrificing precision. TV buyers can generate incremental reach with household-level targeting, frequency controls, reporting, and insights. To learn more about Simplify's Addressable CTV and what it can do for your clients, visit simply.fi.